What's good? It's a new episode of Inside the Green Room, and
Sure.
these next 2 weeks should be fun here with our little podcast team, or our large podcast team, however you want to phrase it. Because it is the playoffs, we got Donovan Mitchell and Desmond Bane. Who knows who we might get before the playoffs are all over. The next segment of the show, you will hear them talking about the playoffs, their anticipations for it, how they think it kind of shapes out. And then next week, there are some other questions that we asked them as well that I think our audience would definitely love to hear. So we'll have part 2 of Desmond Bane and Donovan Mitchell next week. This week, you'll hear them after the break where they talk about their playoff series. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell getting ready for his series against the New York Knicks, and Desmond Bane about the potential of seeing the Lakers in the second round. But with that being said, let's focus on the first round. Cavaliers, New York Knicks. Danny, you know I do sports betting for a living at times, so I'm all up in the numbers, bro, and I don't know how to shake this thing out. Let me throw some numbers at you real quick.
Okay.
Points in the paint defense. Knicks number 1 in the NBA in terms of points in the paint allowed at 45.9. Cavaliers number 3 at 46.3 points in the paint allowed. How about fast break points? Knicks, Cavs, both 6th and 7th in the NBA in terms of stopping fast break points. All right, so where are the advantages? Okay, Cleveland Cavaliers, number 3 in the NBA in points off of turnovers, 19.4. However, the Knicks are number 5 in the NBA in turnovers per 100, 12.7. So they don't turn over the ball. So how about the Knicks? What makes them really great? What stat do they have that's pretty much in the elite tier of the NBA? Second chance points, 16.2, number 3 in the NBA. However, the Cavaliers, number 4 at the NBA at stopping second chance points at 12.1. So, Danny, outside of home court advantage, I'm not seeing, and obviously Julius Randle being healthy is a huge factor, but this looks like a slug it out, drag them out, fight to the last bucket type of series to me. I wonder how it feels for you.
100%, man. I have to agree, and that's the reason why it's 4-5. These teams are both right there, and this is probably one of the tougher matchups. The 4-5 is supposed to be the toughest matchup in the playoff series, where there's not as much of advantage. You have 3-6, obviously 2-7, 1-8. The reason why those higher teams get the more of advantage, because they got home court and because they won more games. But yeah, these teams are very similar, damn near identical, especially across the board in terms of the stats. And you're looking at standings of defensive and offensive advantages. So it's going to come down to execution and who's going to do it. And I think also us getting home court helps us a ton, but who's going to execute for longer minutes of the game than the other team. And that's the little things, possession by possession. The superstars, I think, going to do what they do. It's going to be about the others. What can our bench do? What can their bench do? And I like what our pieces are able to give. And hopefully it's going to come down also coaching. So we're going to see what both sides bring to the table, what adjustments happen. And I said, the arena is going to be nuts on both sides. It's going to be crazy. The fans, the fan base, the atmosphere. Both teams are going to be competitive. It's going to come down to a lot of the small things. And that's just execution and the coaching and seeing what adjustments teams make. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. Obviously, the home court advantage leads towards you guys, but maybe, this is not to discredit JB Bickerstaff, but he hasn't coached a playoff game yet as a head coach. Meanwhile, Tom Thibodeau has coached 61 playoff games, and even in JB's time as an assistant coach in Charlotte, Minnesota, and in Memphis, either missed the playoffs or lost in the first round. So should be very interesting. There's a lot of leans both ways. It's going to go down to the very last game. Oh, Danny, I would love you to name.
He was an assistant in Houston as well, though, I believe. So
yes, where they did make it to make it to the Western Conference Finals, and did make it to the first round twice. So that is to be noted as well. But I think the general NBA fan will probably say the head coaching advantage is with the New York Knicks, but the home court advantage is with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's going to be a fun series. I cannot wait for it to get started. I will say this, though, Danny, I'm going to name one, because you are also an analyst of the game. I'm going to ask you to name one X factor going into this series, and I'll start. The X factor in this series, in my opinion, is one Emmanuel Quickley, who averages 22.6 points per game when he gets minutes as a starter. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Julius Randle, so there's a potential for him to play a lot of minutes. Now, we all know he can score, but the one thing that has to be recognized as well He's actually top 10 or top 20 in the NBA in plus minus, leads the Knicks in plus minus, leads the Knicks in defensive rating. And when they actually played against the Cavaliers, he had the best defensive rating on the team, 96.3. So needless to say, I think the one off the bench, Emmanuel Quickley, who might win Sixth Man of the Year, is going to be the New York Knicks X Factor. And as somebody who covers the Knicks for a living, I think I'm qualified to do that. You are playing with the Cavaliers, so I think you're more than qualified to name the X Factor on that end.
Off the bench, I'm going to say Karis LeVert. I mean, starters, obviously, there's a lot of people you can choose from. But I think off the bench, our X Factor is going to be Karis and what he can bring, the playmaking-wise, not just scoring-wise, but defensively and playmaking-wise for us offensively, and giving Darius and Don the space that they need. Also said, in terms of if you're looking at the starting lineup, I think Evan is going to be the guy that we're going to be looking to be able to change the series. If he's, they're going to be shifting off a lot of our guys. I know that they're going to probably close the paint some. That's just an assumption. They might not, but off Isaac, off Evan, off Jarrett, and if some of those guys hit a couple shots, but if Evan takes advantage of that, not only on defense by blocking shots and protecting the rim and rebounding, because rebounding is going to be a big key for us, keeping them off the offensive glass. So if we rebound and able to run, and also those guys make a shot or two from the perimeter, I think that changes the game. So from the starting lineup, obviously Evan is going to be the guy. And from off the bench, I think Karis is going to be the X factor for us.
Yeah, it should be fun. All goes down starting on Saturday. Best believe next week we will have another episode as we will update what's happening in that series and also what's happening also in the NBA, particularly what might be happening with the Grizzlies in their playoff series. So with that being said, here's our interview with Donovan Mitchell and Desmond Bane. Inside the green room with Danny Green, I'm Harrison Sanford. It is the playoffs, so you know we got to step our game up. In this episode, you not only hear Desmond Bane, Danny's former teammate, but you also hear his current teammate, Donovan Mitchell. Now, Donovan, thank you for joining the show, and congratulations on being here for the second time around, because Danny, my friend and co-host, has a real hard time trying to bring his guest on for a second time. He's really opposed to doing it as much as our production team wants him to get guests more than once. But for you, it looks like he's made an exception.
Appreciate it. I'm honored.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. That's not a congratulations, but congrats on the 10,000 points. Congrats on the All-Star. Congrats on everything else. But we're pleasure, to have you. We're very humbled to have you on our show, man, especially for the second time. But a topic that did come up when we talked to Des was how frustrating and intense this time is, the playoff time. And tonight we have the play-in games. So speaking of that intensity and speaking of how emotions will rise, we all saw how Jaden McDaniels eliminated himself from the play-in game and the rest of the season. We were talking about how often and actually how common it is for athletes to have a frustrating moment like that of punching a wall. When was it for you the first time that you knew that walls don't break from your hand?
I gotta say, probably college. Didn't make sprint. Probably Rick Pitino didn't make the sprint time. He got there slapping the wall, and one of the coaches was like, "Man, like you do that, like it's over for you." And correct me if I'm wrong, but Kyrie did that at Team USA, didn't he?
He might have. We've all had that moment. I was wondering if you ever punched the wall and was like.
I feel for him, man. I feel for Jay. He played a hell of a year. Should be an all-defensive team, one of the best defenders in this NBA, in the NBA. And, it's tough to see him go out like that, man. I wish him nothing but the best. I wish, Minnesota nothing but the best as they go forward. But that's tough to see, especially at that time of year. So prayers up to him in his health. But, we've all done it. Every hooper's done it. Everybody that's watching is at that hooped or played a sport at that high intensity levels done it. So it sucks to see that for sure.
So for the record, you've never punched the wall. You're one of the very few that
I've never punched it. I've hit it. I've never punched it though. I'm definitely not punched.
So you never missed time for it. All right. So you're one of the smarter ones. You're one of the smarter ones. That I learned early teenage years. I learned at an early age not to put. I punched wall probably was like 13, 14 or so. Couldn't play the rest of the game. So I learned early. So it's surprising that some guys that later have experienced the frustration. That later on in life, but. Go ahead, H.
Yeah, no, Danny thought that the column didn't realize that the column didn't have enough padding on it. So
yeah, my incident
canceled himself.
You didn't get a chance to hear the incident. All right, so I talked to Des about this. we all know there's like I was at Island Garden. They all have the poles with the padding around them.
Yep.
And you think and some people have walls with the pad in them, and you punch, you thinking that there's padding. This particular pole did not have padding in it. So I punched right through the cushion and hit steel. Ding! I was like, oh, and you can't act like you hurt right away. You have to act like
facts. You got to play it off.
I learned from then not to trust padding anywhere in the building because it doesn't protect you the way it should, honestly. Even if there was padding in it.
And to Donovan, you are quite the historian. You are correct. It happened in 2012 during Team USA. Kyrie Irving slapped the padding on a gym wall at practice. He had to miss some time going into training camp because of that. So Jaden McDaniels, we hope you're back soon. A terrific defender. Unfortunately, will not see him in the NBA playoffs. Danny mentioned Island Garden. For those who are listening or watching, Island Garden is a gym in Long Island where Danny was getting his reps before getting to the pros in his early amateur days. Donovan, I know you actually have somewhat of a connection to Danny with youth basketball, but not with Danny, but his brother. Can you explain for those who are not aware?
Yeah, I mean, I've known Danny and his family for a long time. We played him and his brother played against each other countless number of times. I forgot what team he was on back in the day.
I don't know if it was Ren's or not. It might have been Ren's. And Ren's might have been a little later. I know we did Panthers back in the day. I'm trying to remember.
I think it was Panthers was at first. I think Panthers was first. I knew Danny I knew Devontae and his pops and Danny's dad early on, just through different tournaments. And like you play AAU in New York City, like you're gonna run into the same people, especially if you're in the same age group over and over again. And obviously Devontae went on to play at Indiana. So it's pretty dope that life comes at you full circle like this. You start your childhood off playing against guys, playing with guys, and now here I am with DG, in his 15th year in my 6th. It's pretty special.
Yeah, I'm old, man. Speaking of New York and gyms, did you get a chance to play in Island Garden before?
Oh,
I know you played at ISH.
You had to qualify.
Okay. So you had that. Island Garden, ISH, you played in all the tournaments.
All of them.
And did your family grow up New York Knicks fans?
Nah, we were baseball family. So we were baseball, obviously all Mets. Obviously we root for the home team and whatnot, but we were all baseball. I was I was a baseball player.
Okay, but you have friends that were New York Knicks fans.
Yeah, for sure.
How is that dynamic of them rooting for you, but also rooting for the home team?
Actually, honestly, bro, like I've, when it's the regular season, I think they root for me, but now I don't really talk to anybody right now, to be honest. It's been like that for about a week and a half. So I would think that they root for my success, but at the end of the day, if they don't, I get it. It's going to be an exciting series, but as far as that, I've kind of cut all communication with everybody I know.
We're not friends until this series is over. All right, we'll talk later.
Wait until it's over with.
Yeah, I got a couple of homies that are like, man, I'm okay with you scoring like 20 plus a game, but I want the Knicks to move the next series. And I'm like, I hear you, man, but my job is we ain't letting them. We ain't. You know what I'm saying, I never was a home team or Knicks fan. So Harrison, this guy, he has to. He's a friend of mine, but he can't even root for us, man. He has to. He works for the Garden. This guy works for the enemy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a unique situation for me, Donovan, because I've always rooted for Danny, but now I am a MSG Network employee. So the more the Knicks win, the more likely I am to make money. So unless Danny want to supplement my income, I ain't going to be too mad if you guys take an L. But obviously, I'm rooting for you guys. Danny's the homie, and you've been on the podcast twice now. So I'm more than thankful for your time, and we'll be rooting for your success to at least a certain extent, at least. Questions though about this season in general. Just talk a little bit of hoops. What's interesting is, we all know basketball, and I would say most people in the national media wouldn't have picked the Cavs or the Knicks to be the 4-5 matchup going into the season. You look at the Miami Heat, you look at how good the Raptors have been traditionally. Obviously, the Hawks are around, and the Nets, before the trade happened, were seen as a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. What would you say have been the keys for your team this year, and as an observer of basketball, for the Knicks to kind of exceed expectations leading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, you look at what we've done this year. We have a lot of young talent that's come in and taken a huge step. I've done my job. JB's done a phenomenal job. we've surrounded ourselves when Kevin Love to start the year, DG the second part of the year with veterans that know the game and can really help out. And I think we've all taken a step. And I think that's why we've kind of gotten to the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years, and looking to do bigger things. And then you look at our opponent. They're a talented team, phenomenal team, but it's not one of those things you can predict at the beginning of the season. Things happen, trades happen, different things happen, and both teams are playing at their best. This 4 or 5 matchups going to be good, but as far as we go, I think we got a lot of guys that did a lot, are taking the proper steps in their careers as far as going from being young guys and taking those steps. And this will be the first playoff series for a lot of them, and I'm excited for it, and I think we're all excited for it. But as far as we go, we've done a lot of really good things through practice, through reps, through games, growth. Obviously DG wasn't here to start the year, but things were trying to figure each other out early, and you're starting to see that build towards the playoffs.
100%. I agree. I think also, even without the trades, I think with the habits that you guys have created and you guys still would have been a 4 or 5 seed because of how consistent you guys have been. And also, I mean, every team has bumps and bruises, but I think you guys were healthier than the other teams. Like, even if the Nets kept KD and Kai, they still had injuries. Other teams had injuries and fallen off. You guys, knock on wood, have been one of the healthier teams in the East, and hopefully we can stay that way throughout the remainder of the playoffs. But I think the way you guys consistently have your habits and defensively have been number one for most of the year, that's what has been, your staple, and it would have, helped your success, and also keep you guys obviously in the 4 or 5 and a higher contender playoff contention conversation. So I said, regardless of what had happened, I think you guys would have been there either way. And I would have probably predicted, seeing the first half of the season of how you guys were playing defensively, that I could say, this group is going to be in the top 5 of the East, regardless of who was there and who's not.
Yeah. Cavs number 1 in defensive rating for majority of the season here. So obviously been playing very well. The atmosphere during these playoff games will absolutely be spectacular if you consider all the storylines that go into this playoff series, particularly this one. But the atmosphere, regardless, if there were no storylines, is always electric at Madison Square Garden. Donovan, you're going to be able to play your first playoff game in Madison Square Garden. For those who will never put on the same pair of sneakers you guys put on, for those who will never fully understand, can you try to make them comprehend what playing in Madison Square Garden is like, and what you anticipate that feeling being like in a playoff situation? I'll let you start, Donovan.
I lied. Can we take that one out?
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. Let me see. All right, we'll do. I'll let Danny. Can I ask you that one, Danny?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Okay, well, Danny will respond to that one, and then we'll go into the biggest factor of the playoffs. Yeah.
Bad.
So then you can just go ahead.
For me, I think this is year 14 for me, and I've been lucky enough to not have to. I've been in the playoffs every year, so this is actually my first time playing in the Garden for a playoff series as well. And I've been in the East. I've been both sides. So I assume that it's going to be electric. So it's the first time in 10 years or so since they've had a playoff team. So I know there's going to be excitement. I know that, our friends and family, we're all from there. They're going to be excited as well, but they're going to be rooting and supporting us. So I'm anticipating an amazing atmosphere. But that's what, guys like Donovan, everybody else, the stars, live for. They're going to come for this to this stage, and the light's going to be brighter. It's going to be a bigger stage. But this is the game they come alive for. I'm expecting a huge performance out of Don and everybody else on the team as well, and just exciting and have fun with that moment and embrace that moment. So I said I can't wait to see what it's like in our arena, Rocket Mortgage Arena, and also at the Garden, because I know both teams, both arenas, both fan bases are hugely excited. So it's the first time 50-win season in a while for the Cavs. First time making playoffs without Bron for Cleveland, and the first time for a while for the Knicks. So both fan bases are hugely excited about it. And I'm anticipating an atmosphere that I haven't seen in a while. And I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. And as somebody who makes a living of breaking down matchups, this one was really hard for me, because things that the Cavs do well, the Knicks stop. The things that the Knicks do well, you guys stop. Like, for example, points off of turnovers. Cavaliers are top 3 in the NBA in points off of turnovers, but the Knicks never turn over the ball. The Knicks are top 3 in second chance points, but you guys are top 3 in stopping second chance points. So I envision seeing a lot of games in both arenas, and it should be a lot of fun. With that being said, if we took out the health factor, which is obvious, and the talent factor, talent differential, what would you say is the biggest thing that makes teams successful in the postseason? I'll let both of you answer.
I think we spoke about it today. I think it was just the details, the possession by possession taken at a time. And, you get rest in the playoffs. You have a couple days in between games, but the team that studies the other team the most makes the right adjustments and pays attention to the details and does possession at a time possession and values those possessions and finds ways to get easier possessions for themselves throughout the postseason and does it for longer periods of time than the other team, I think is what everybody's kind of focused on. It's hard for some younger guys to understand it till they feel it or in it. But every possession, so there's about 80 to 90 possessions per team. And, every single one of them, they matter a ton, whether it's a loose ball, 50-50 ball, out of bounds play, free throw line, box out. Every possession can change the course of the game. So I think the details for what I would say is the biggest concern or biggest emphasis for most teams.
I agree. Definitely details, from my time in Utah, that was the biggest thing was just, being able to execute, like you said, the possession game, rebounds, turnovers, ATOs, coming out of the half, starting the game, closing the quarters, like those little details, the game within the game is what we call it pretty much. And, that's going to be the biggest thing in the adjustments that, teams throughout these playoffs, you look at, all these teams, that's what makes these great teams. You look at the Golden States, you look at the Milwaukee who's won, you look at the Cavs when they had Bron, like you look at all the teams that have won the past few years, and I'm missing a couple, but, that's all it's been, the little things and the little details like DG said, and that's what ultimately makes you successful in the playoffs.
I want to ask Don.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I wanted to switch up a little bit, but still pertaining to basketball and the season. And of course, adjustments not only the team has made, but you have made. Each year you have become more and more efficient as a star. Please talk about the adjustments you have made in the offseason that have made you more of a perimeter threat. Obviously, you've always been a perimeter threat, but more efficient from the three-point line and just, making the tough shots, because that's not always it's not easy to do. You make shots, they make them look easy, but they're not easy. They're contested, they're tough shots. What have you done to make that more efficient? What do you focus on in the offseason to make those adjustments each year?
I think the first and foremost thing is your conditioning level. This year, I think, my conditioning has been at its best, coming into the offseason or coming into the season, I should say. And then putting yourselves in those positions throughout your workouts, throughout your times, whether it's your strength training, you're running on the treadmill, on the track, you're in the gym getting your skill work. I think that's been my biggest thing is just being able to put myself in the best situations. But then also on top of it, honestly, is shot selection. I've always felt like I could be this efficient, through the work that I've put in. But I think when it comes down to it, understanding what's a good shot, what's a bad shot, when it's needed, when it's not needed, being able to get guys involved, that's really been my thing throughout this whole season is just trying to figure that out. I've done a pretty good job of it, and I think I can continue to be better. But as a whole this season, man, I think, that's just been my thing is just being able to just take the proper shots when necessary and, be more efficient. And people think of efficiency as, he shoots 50 from the field or 60 from the field or whatever from three. But a lot of it is your assist to turnover ratio. You know what I mean? Like what your plus minus is like, and that plus minus is kind of skewed at times, but like, how do you impact the game other ways outside of just scoring the basketball? Do you make the winning plays? And a lot of times all we see guys, not even just myself, but, scorers around this league, we look at it through scoring, but sometimes it's, getting off it at the right time. Sometimes it's being a decoy. Sometimes it's taking the tough shots and making them. So as much as work as you put in, there's a mental component behind it too that I don't think, people always think about when it comes to that. But definitely your work in the offseason, but shot selection was huge.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually noted to Danny earlier this season that you, in my opinion, you've really elevated your game with how willing you've become at the 3-point line, really expanding the opportunities there for you as a scorer and just as a player in general, tying a career high this season in 3-point percentage, 38.6, but a career high 28 0.6 points per game, 48% from the field, and up to 9.3 3-point attempts on the season. So that's pretty damn good, in my opinion. And with that actually being said, quick thoughts on just the offensive explosion this year, not just for you, but the entire NBA. What are your thoughts on why it's become that way, and where do you see it going forward?
It's incredible this year. You look at I think it's 25 guys who've scored 40 plus this season, or is it 50 plus?
Something like that.
Something like that. It's crazy. I don't have the answer for why. It's great to see. To be honest, I love it. I love watching it. I love being a part of it. It makes the game, exciting. It's what fans want to see. It's definitely tough when we've had, I think, 50 on us once with Dame in Portland. And it's one of those things, man, where you're in the zone, you're just there, you're locked in, you're ready to go, and it's just get the ball, move out the way at some point in times. I think then you look at, the Joel Embiid's, what he's doing. You look at obviously the Dame, the Steph Curry's, the one that stands out to me is Steph Curry in the against the Clippers a few weeks ago. Like, that performance was masterful. Damian Lillard, he had Klay Thompson. It goes down the line. Darius Garland, we had no business being in the game here against Minnesota at home. Completely finds a way to will himself to a 51.9. Obviously, we lose, but single-handedly bringing us back. Like, there's so many different guys. You can look to Luka Doncic, 60, 20, and 11 down there in Dallas. It's different areas, and you look at so many talents throughout the league, and it's great that this league has so many different talents throughout, every single team, every conference, and whatever, every division. So it's exciting to see. It's exciting to be a part of, and I think it's only going to take off and continue to be more as the league, as we continue to move on.
For sure, especially with the fact that they've adjusted some rules with the shot clock, offensive rebound, and changing the pace, and then the take fouls. You're not allowed to take fouls anymore, more fast-paced, more transition. So I think that has definitely made it, obviously, with the fact that people are shooting and making more threes. But the fact that the game is a little bit more faster paced, and a lot of people want to see more offense with the transition and the take fouls, and and obviously the shot clock only 14 seconds after the offense rebound. So yeah, this is the first time I think since 1980 that no team has scored less than 80 points. You've never seen that in a season, so I see it only growing from here.
Fun trivia question. I didn't put this on the rundown, but I'm going to ask you guys anyway. Do you guys know who has scored the least points per game in the NBA? Want to take a guess?
This year?
A team or a player?
A team.
I think I know the team that scored the most was Sacramento, correct?
That's correct, but that's easy.
Okay.
The team that has the lowest points per game in the NBA.
The way you're talking, you're saying it like it's us. The way you talk.
No.
The
The
way
he acts it, I'm like, it can't be us though. I'm like, he's saying it like it's I'm like,
it is pretty shocking. It is pretty shocking.
I'm gonna go probably the Knicks.
No, not the Knicks.
Okay, then Detroit or something like that. That's what I'm thinking.
Detroit is number 29, so there's one team worse than them in terms of points per game.
Okay, so Detroit is the number 2. So number 1, worst points in Detroit. Not Indiana. Yeah.
Rockets are number 28.
So they're number 3. I was gonna say either Orlando.
Orlando's number 25.
Wow.
This is shock. It's pretty shocking.
Is this a winning team? It's a playoff team. Chicago?
It's a winning team.
Atlanta.
It's not. It can't be Chicago.
Miami.
Nope. Miami, 109.5.
Wow.
The only team in the NBA to score under 110 points per game this NBA season. So that was a little trivia for you guys there. One person who hasn't had any trouble scoring as of recently in the last 30 games, his scoring averages has gone up a bit of a tick. Evan Mobley. I know Danny, when he's with Memphis, he said Jaren Jackson was so important to that team's future, his development as an offensive weapon. And I think Danny might agree here. Evan Mobley, while Donovan, you're at a superstar level, and Darius and Jared are at all-star levels, and so pretty much is Evan, or he's almost there. But his ceiling, it would seem to be as high. What do you think his development would be for the Cleveland Cavaliers over the next 2-3 years? Where does he take the team if he continues to evolve?
He can do it all. I think the biggest thing for him is, I look at guys when they're teammates of mine, and there was one game in December he didn't play well. Somebody got the better of him in a matchup, and after that game, he decided to be in the weight room every single day, game day, non-game day. That tells you a lot about him as his character, him as a player, him as a person, his will to want to get better. Nobody asked him to do it. No coach came up to him and said, "Hey, you need to get in the weight room." He decided to do it on his own. That told me everything I need to know about Evan Mobley right there. He's a guy that can really change the dynamic of a whole basketball game, offensively, defensively. I was telling Danny earlier, like, there was a game where he said he was a little tired, and he still had 18 and 16. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. And it was quiet, and like a quiet 18 and 16 on a so-called off night, and his development. And he's only gotten better as the year goes on. And that's what I speak to as far as this year. He's been a big part of our team's success. And as far as this organization goes with him, he's got it. He's only going to continue to get better, and he hasn't even developed his three-point shot to what it can potentially be. I'm excited to see him continually grow. I'll be here alongside him, and I think for us, DJ, I don't know about you, but like it's amazing to watch. Sometimes you see some things, and it's just like, man, like I don't even know if he knew that he just did that.
Oh yeah, he has no idea how good he is or can be yet. I think but he's definitely got the motor, he's got the character, he's got the habits, he's got the will to want to be great. So I agree with Donovan. I expect him to be an all-star in the next 2 or 3 years.
What's good? Welcome back to Inside the Green Room. Harrison Sanford alongside Danny Green. And we are joined by his former teammate, Desmond Bane. Thank you for joining the show, my friend.
Good.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a while, man. If you've been hooping,
for my boy DG anytime.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Looking forward to talking about the NBA playoffs that are coming out. Looking forward to digging into Desmond's past for a little bit. But I will say this. Immediately, as soon as I saw the draw last night, I said, well, we're definitely getting a Lakers-Grizzlies series. And not just because I think the Lakers are really a good team or a lot better than how they started the season, because a lot of things happened with the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday. I don't know who wants to go first, but many things happened. And I know you guys got your phones, you saw it, you have opinions.
Yeah.
I will let Desmond, our guest, go first. Desmond, what were your thoughts on everything that you saw in Minnesota Sunday night?
I'm Team K, first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? That's my dog.
Me too. That's my dog too. He's my rook for a couple of years. I had him for 4 years. So K is my dog.
It was what it was. You know what I'm saying? Tipper's player on the court. I don't know how the whole situation was handled and what exactly was said, but I just don't think anything ever gets to that level when you know what I'm saying, wearing the same jersey, you're in a game, y'all been together for 82 games. I just don't think it gets to that level as teammates.
Yeah, it shouldn't, usually, especially during the timing of it. I think that was what's strange. And, said I'm a Team K all day. That's my dog from Jersey. He was my rook. I've known him and his family for a long time. But he knows he plays the right way. He wants to win. And I'm sure he holds guys to a standard. And I don't know how sensitive Rudy is. I don't know him well enough. I could ask Donovan to see, what kind of person he is. But it looked like at that moment, he was a little upset by whatever Slow-Mo said to him and didn't react the right way.
Yeah. And K, like you said, K's from Jersey, bro. He's an experienced dude in the league. He's got some respect. Like in our locker room, you could tell he was growing into a leader. Like he wasn't scared to say nothing to nobody. And we all appreciated it. You know what I'm saying? As a young team, like, and Rudy's got his money. He's a, max player, whatever you want to call it. And, so he might not take it the same way that, a young guy would take it or whatever. But, like I said, I'm Team K.
Word. And so before we get to that, I want to because your thoughts possibly could be Minnesota, even though things have gone kind of sideways for them. You guys have a history against that team as well in a playoff series. Obviously, the team's a lot different from what it was last year. Yeah. Talk about that matchup being a possibility and what that, what kind of advantage you guys have and what kind of challenge that brings to you guys on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would love to play, Lakers or Minnesota. I think we're confident, whoever we're going to see. Obviously, they're a good team. Um, I think Gobert being on the floor might help us. Actually, Steve-O got played off the floor last year because Cat's spacing the floor, doing a lot of different things on the floor, which obviously presents challenges. But now he'll be able to play two bigs, which is more traditional for us. And Jay McDaniels being out obviously would be huge.
Another thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Whole lot going on.
dude punching the wall, man, broke his wrist, broke his hand. It's like, bro. So yeah, Minnesota's got a lot of things on the bad side right going for them right at the wrong time. So part of the playoffs and winning is being healthy. That's a part of the luck that you need, and they're getting a little unlucky right now. Go ahead, H. What you had?
Yeah, no, let's not forget too. Nas Reed also was done for the season because he tried to he had a wrist injury after trying to dunk on somebody. I forgot it in the Phoenix game.
He's been balling. I like his game.
He's hooping here. He can hoop, man. He's a hooper. So Minnesota's down pretty bad right now. But I still would like to see them in that 8 seed and figure it out and make the playoffs because they've been playing well all year and they deserve to be in the playoffs. Regardless, the West is tied up. It's really tight. We have some fun series ahead. H, that Clippers Sun series is one you're looking forward to. And I think I'll be looking forward to that Memphis Lakers series. We said to talk about the matchup that you guys and the history you have with them as well, because you do have a history with the Lakers in the past. A little chippy at some point. So talk about your matchup possibly being with them and what you look forward to and the challenge that they bring.
I mean, obviously, they're an experienced group. It's been there before with Bron and AD. Obviously, you were on that team too. But they've done what we're trying to do. So obviously, they have that going for them. But they pieced this team together after the deadline, and they've been playing well. But the game changes, the game tightens up in the playoffs. Obviously AD will be a matchup problem with Steve-O out. And BC, of course, we lost both of our bigs during the season, but Xavier Tillman stepped up and he's been playing his ass off.
Yeah. He's been great for y'all. He's been great for y'all. And it's going to be a challenge for Jaren, man, staying out of foul trouble. So the 3 keys, we're going to need 3 keys for your matchup against Minnesota first. What are the 3 keys you think and the challenge you see? I do remember playing when I was with you guys, Minnesota during the year, and how y'all guarded Solomon. I think he kind of took it a little personally. He had some big games against us. Sure. I'm wondering if you guys will change how to guard him, or what your matchups or your 3 keys of playing against Minnesota if you catch them in the first round.
That's a good question. What we would do game plan wise, because like you said, we did have big games against us. Playoffs is a different animal, though. You got to kind of live with the numbers, and we'll see what we decide to do. But obviously contain Cat and Ant. They traditionally are higher up in the pick and rolls and blitz coverage, and that kind of gave us some problems previously, depending on, what happens with Gobert or whatever, because, he'll be in the drop, which will actually work to our advantage, I think. And then just finding our pace in the playoffs. I mean, it turns into a half-court game, and we're a team that needs to get out and run and get transition to be at our best. So I think if we can do those 3 things, we'll have a good chance.
For sure. I think we always talked about how you guys have struggled in a half court and that you guys thrive in transition. And the playoffs is where the game slows down a little bit. And you got to find ways to get the easy baskets, whether it's transition or get to the free throw line. I know 12 has been more of attacking at the rim, and so is Jaren, as yourself as well. So I'm wondering, and I'm excited to see how you guys, this playoffs, the growth that you take of executing in a half court and seeing what you guys can create with the addition of Luke Kennard, giving you guys some more floor spacing and some shooting. He's been playing a ton for you guys. Talk about that a little bit and how that's helped you guys with the addition of him.
Nah, it's been huge. I mean, you've been in our locker room, and that's the thing that we've been saying all year long is we needed, some more shooting. I mean, obviously when you got guys like John, like Jaren, I mean, Jaren's been playing out of his mind lately. So, teams are going to start sending double teams and different coverages at him. So giving him the most, freedom and space to be able to play, I think has been huge. And Luke's been shooting the shit out of him. I think he's shooting like 55, damn near 60% from 36 joining. Crazy.
Yeah, he's been lighting it up, man. So now on to the Lakers, the 3 keys that you have for them. But before I get to the 3 keys, Is there still a little dislike for them? Is it still a little edgy situation, or have y'all squashed the beef recently?
And come playoff times, I feel like anything that was ever pre-existing always rears its head. So the beef ain't gonna be squashed till the series is over.
Okay, but during regular season, I noticed y'all weren't as everything seemed kind of smooth and cool when y'all played against them regular season. So I'm assuming. So, of course, with DB being who DB is, he's going to bring the chippiness out, and there's going to be some stuff with, him, Bron, and whoever else, AD, he's going to talk his shit a little bit. So I said, it's going to be a fun series, and I'm excited to watch it, whoever it is that you guys end up matching up to. So, but Harrison, you want the 3 keys, right? You want his 3
we can get to the 3 keys for the Lakers series, but before we get to that, you guys talked about Jaden McDaniels not being there because he punched the wall. I am curious, let Desmond go first. Okay. What was the basketball moment that made you that frustrated? Well, obviously you didn't punch a wall. Thankfully, you got your hands together. But
I think we've all done that actually before.
And that's definitely a time. I was literally just gonna say that, bro.
We've all done that before. It was crazy. I was talking to my boys too in the group chat, and they're like, "Yo, when do you think he thought in his mind that was a dumb thing to do?" Immediately, you feel the pain right away, and you're like,
"Sure,
But usually you do it when you're a kid. So you said the moment for you, Des, when was that moment for you?
I was a high school kid, man, playing open gym in the summer. You know what I'm saying? I'm struggling, not making shots. In the high school gyms, they got the little pad on before the cement walls. So I go and lay into it. You know what I'm saying? I'm grab my hand. They talking about, come on, Des. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. I go home. And I'm laying in bed. I had already told my grandma, I hurt my hand. And I'm just laying there. It just keeps swelling up and swelling up and swelling up. And I go downstairs, and by the time I get downstairs, it's like you can't even see my knuckles anymore. So I was like, yeah, I think there's something going on here. So I'm going to get a little X-ray. And I had a box fracture. So
that's exact every time. You always I was at Island Garden, and Island Garden got the poles, the pillars, but they have the cushion wrapped around them. So you think you're safe when you punch the cushion. So I'm like, damn. And I punched that. I think I punched with my left hand, but it might have been my right hand. Punched it, no cushion in that joint, right to the metal.
Nothing. No give.
Said,
no give.
Oh, shit.
No give.
Oh, shit. But you can't say that in your mind. You're like, oh, shit, damn. But you got to act like, damn.
For sure.
Yeah, try to play it off, keep playing. Like, damn, my shit hurt, boy.
Yeah, you already look crazy going on.
Where the cushion at? Y'all niggas don't cushion these things? What the fuck going on? Bro, shit was crazy. That shit's happened to every one of us. Everyone, but usually say when you're young, you learn I can't punch shit no more.
Exactly.
Jaden said he's still probably 18. He's so young. He probably never. Exactly. Kids come into the league these days.
That's good. Yeah. I saw that last night. He's bugging, but I'm Danny and Des. Thanks for letting me know that every hooper has done that. Maybe I didn't hoop long enough because I for sure didn't do that. That is for sure. But
you didn't get frustrated enough.
Yeah, as we get ready to talk about those 3 keys for the Lakers, though, Des, I don't know if it's going to be on your list, so I'm going to put it on your list for you, and you can let you comment on it. But I would assume getting into it with courtside spectators would be on the list for this right?
Hey, is he going to be allowed in the arena? I mean,
I don't know.
I think he is. He's not a regular civilian, as DB would say. He's not a regular citizen. You know what I'm saying? He's a normal citizen. He's not a normal regular civilian. He gets into games. The guy's he's somebody. So I think he gets. I don't know if he'll be courtside right there. He might be second row, or they might put him, in a little suite or a box or something, keep him off the court.
Sure.
But it's gonna be interesting, man. I can't wait to see it.
It's definitely, it ain't gonna be swept under the rug. That's for sure. I mean, knowing our team and knowing how we go about our business.
Also, and before you get to the keys, also as well, I do have to get into the more important stuff is the X's and O's. But I do have to know about Dillon Brooks, particularly when did you find out about his outfit for Sunday's game with the permed out flow?
Bro, we're not playing, and I still had a shooting time, and so I'm just on the court talking. It's 40 minutes on the clock. We're walking back, and I'm talking to X, and DB walks in front of me, and I didn't even know it was him. I was like, who is this? I turned around, and DB got his little ugly smile he be doing. Oh my God, this is crazy. So I'm following DB into the locker room to see everybody's reaction when he walks in there. And I'm tapping people like, yo, look at DB, look at DB. We're like, we don't know if we're like, dang, bro, that's tough. Or we trying to clown him, or you know what I'm saying? But
bro, he definitely like Cat Williams, bro. I was like, what the hell? You don't see what DB wears until DB shows up to the arena. And you're like, what the hell, DB? What the hell is?
Exactly.
Oh, that's what we on today?
Yeah.
Either you half naked or fully clothed with your hair looking crazy. What's going on, bro?
You know, Shay and Lou Dort, the other Canadians on the other team, he trying to outdo him, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's my dog, though, for sure.
Des, did you refer to Dylan as Evil Danny Green, too?
I definitely will take that. I definitely Evil
nah,
DG.
He wasn't referred to it as much, but I called him Twin while I was there, here and there. Once in the blue. He's a wild boy. But I'm like, bro, Twin, what you on, bro? What's going on? Like, I'm trying to like rub off on him in a positive, like, come on, bring you over to the good side, bro. You don't gotta be people all damn day, bro. All day he's messing with people. Like, come on, DB, be a normal guy today. But that's just him, man. He likes to mess with. He loves to talk his shit. He likes to mess with people. You know what I'm saying? He likes to get under people. He likes to compete. That's just the competitive nature in him.
I wouldn't even know what type of player he'd be without it. Like
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what makes him who he is. And you know, you gotta live with the 20 technicals and the first team all defense. You know what I'm saying?
It's just paper. Jesus Christ. DB, it's just paper. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah,
every time I look at him, I'm like, yo, what is DB on, bro? I gotta catch up with him and tap in with him and see what's going on with him. But that's my dog, man. That's why y'all need him. And y'all need that edge. And that's why y'all love him, man, because he brings that edge for y'all. And he's always gonna bring some a different perspective. But he's going to keep y'all in line, and he's going to lead y'all in a certain way to keep everybody accountable. So, he's a guy that you hate playing against, but when he's on your team, man, you love him. So, big shout out to him. I'm expecting him to have a big series, whoever it is y'all match up to.
The one thing I am excited for this playoffs here, Desmond, is just the development of your team in general. Yeah. Jaren's gotten a lot better. You've gotten a lot better. Your game is definitely diversified. And I think the game or the time that Ja has missed really helped you guys maybe find something or some other things to go to. How would you evaluate that time without Ja and how it makes you guys maybe a better team going into this playoffs, despite the fact you'll be without some of your big guys and Steven Adams and Brandon Clark?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a blessing in disguise. I mean, obviously, Ja Morant's going to come back and he's going to be an All-NBA, caliber player in the playoffs. So we know what we're getting from him. And, we had to find other ways during that time. And we were really featuring Jaren, playing through him in the post and, just getting him reps that he probably wouldn't have got with me and Ja both healthy and on the floor. So, I mean, I think that kind of brought something out of him that he didn't even know that he had in him. He's had multiple 30-point games, 40-point games. Obviously, he's been doing what he does on the defensive end. But when we talk about us struggling in the half court, now we have, an option to throw it, dump it down, in the post when things are getting a little frantic. And he can go and make a play or get to the foul line for us. So I think that, that's going to be huge for us moving into the postseason.
For sure. I love this opportunity for X. Obviously, we've seen what Tyus can do. Him and BC have always been you guys bench guys. Santi as well. This year has grown a bunch, and I think this is going to give X and Santi a huge opportunity to prove them and show themselves this playoff and become that household name that they deserve, because those guys work extremely hard, especially X. X has been up and down through the G League, and now he's been playing a lot of minutes. Everything happens for a reason, and he's such a great dude, man. You just love to see that he's getting his opportunity to hoop, and I think he will do, because people underestimate him. He's a very good, solid big man that rebounds well, can contest shots, very good with his hands, and active on the glass, active on the defensive end, and does little things that you need. So I'm excited for the opportunity for him and Santi to prove themselves and show what they can do, man, and be a part of you guys' group and you guys' success.
Yeah, we're gonna need him for sure.
As we continue to look at your playoff potential against the Los Angeles Lakers or the Minnesota Timberwolves, I am curious, do you find yourself looking at the other playoff series as well? Any series that you're personally looking forward to watching that you won't play in?
I mean, I think that all the series, I mean, we were looking at it and we were like, if we get the 1 seed, the 2 seed, the 3 seed, whoever we get, we're going to be seeing a quality opponent. You know, I mean, all the teams lumped up in the Western Conference. I mean, the 8 seed might be a CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram. You know, 7 seed, you're seeing LeBron and AD, the Golden State Warriors defending champs at 6. Clippers were probably the favorite to win it all at the beginning of the year at 5. Phoenix went and got KD at 4. You know, I mean, it's just it's going to be good series all up and down the West.
I guess maybe I should have.
Go ahead, H.
I should have rephrased it. I'm wondering which series are you looking forward to watching?
I would say probably the Golden State Sacramento series. Just, you know, Mike Brown.
That's a sleeper right there, man. I think people sleeping on Sacramento, man. I like Golden State very good, but I think Sacramento's got something this year, man.
You still on our team when we played them on the road, bro?
Yeah.
That was
they hit like 12. They hit like 10 out of 11 threes to start the game. They hit 12 in the first quarter. If they get hot like that, unbelievable. Obviously, you know, Keegan Murray, he's a great 3-point threat for them shooter, but they have a lot of guys that can score. But with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis leading them, they got some good things going, and they're very well coached this year. But yeah, I think that's going to be a more exciting series, and I think they're going to go more games than people expect. People think Golden State's going to get them, 4-1, 4-2. I think that's a 6-7 game series, man. I think it's going to be a hard fought battle series.
You know, the interesting thing, offense is exploding so far this year. The Sacramento Kings actually have the highest offensive rating of all time in NBA history since they started tracking the stat. I'm curious. Oh, and there was an interview where Mark Cuban was talking about things that went kind of south this year for the team. And one of the things that he pointed out was the restriction or the take foul, basically saying no more take fouls really hurt their defense or whatever it might have accumulated to. I'm curious, I'll let Des go first. Why do you think offenses are going so crazy? And do you think it could actually carry into the playoffs? Because obviously that would help a team like the Kings.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, one, the players are just getting better. I mean, I think that skill development, guys being able to do multiple things on the floor, the space, the pace that guys play with. I mean, teams are shooting the ball 4 or 5 seconds in the shot clock, and coaches clapping, saying that's a good shot. You know, I'm pulling up no pass 3 off a rebound, and coach is telling me it's a good look. So the game is just changing.
Yeah.
The guys, having the ability to take and make those type of shots, it's hard to defend, especially mixed with, the take foul rules, and you can't put hands on guys, no defensive 3 seconds. I mean, the game's tailored for offenses to score.
100%. I agree. And this is the first time, I don't know if you've seen that, H, that no team has scored less than 80 points this year because of the take foul. Obviously the shot clock changing to 14 seconds after offense rebound. I think more possessions are happening faster. He said more threes are taken. It's definitely changed the game quite a bit. I still do think that there's some things that need to be tightened up, and they're very inconsistent with the take foul sometimes.
Oh my God!
So it'd be a slow, slight transition. You foul a guy, and it's like, all right, he gets 2 free throws. I do think that they need to change the challenge. You need to be able to have at least 2, 1.5, or be able to keep it if you win it type situation.
I like keep it if you want it.
Keep it if you win it.
Put a shot clock on the challenge too. Put a shot clock on the challenge. You can't have challenges that last 5 minutes.
100%.
That's ridiculous. I can't stand it. All right, sorry, Daniel.
Also, because for sure, 100%. I think the other one that I was not too happy with was the referees not be able to review on their own under 2 minutes.
Okay.
Why do you have to use a challenge for out of bounds call?
Yeah.
When a referee himself can all right, we didn't see it right away. I think referee, I don't know why they took that away, but now you have to use your challenges for things that you shouldn't use your challenge for, especially when it's the last 2 minutes of the game. Referees should be able to look at it themselves and say, hey, who's this ball off of, this, that, and other, et cetera, and figure it out. And you said they should have a timing on the challenge, because them taking forever is out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? Now they see in baseball, they speed up the pitch, count now, because they have 20 seconds in between each pitch to remember get the pitcher to, get back, and also the batter to get on the mound and get back to it. So the speeds the baseball game up a little faster. I wouldn't say they're out. They're just down bad right now. And with Rudy Gobert's suspension for that game, it's going to be a little tougher for them. So with the Lakers matchup, what are some of your main keys of that matchup, with them, with their new team? Obviously, it's a team that I don't know if y'all faced them with the new additions.
We have, but I think Brown was out.
A lot of guys were sitting out that game, right? Okay, so yeah, so the keys and the bullet points that you have playing against that new Laker team.
So I think containing Anthony Davis, I'm sure, is probably top on the list. AD and Brown. Staying out of foul trouble, I think it will be huge.
That is a huge thing for them. They've been racking up free throws when it comes to Austin Reeves, Schroeder, D'Angelo Russell, all of those guys. Obviously, Brown, AD, they get their free throws. But when you got the other guys getting free throws too, they were leading the league at one point in free throw attempts by a huge margin. So yeah, I'm interested to see how y'all guard, obviously AD and Brown, but the others, who is the X factors you think are for them that you want to make sure don't become wild cards and get loose?
I think Beasley's always dangerous. He's coming off the bench now. He's a guy that can go for 5, 6 threes in 20 minutes, so I think containing him, I like a lot of our matchups that we'd have in the starting lineups, offensively and defensively. So, I think he's really X factor. And then like I said, containing AD and Bron, because it's going to be their show coming into the game.
I think AD and Bron are always going to do what they do. Superstars always do. But I think if you guys can contain, and everybody talks about D'Lo like he's not getting paid like a max player, and he's like damn near all-star. He was an all-star, I think, in the East, if I'm not mistaken, or damn near was with the Brooklyn Nets. But containing D'Lo and Beasley, those two guys, you don't let those guys get wild. You can live with Vando having a decent game or two, Schroeder having a decent game, Austin Reeves. But if you let D'Lo and Malik Beasley get, I think those are two X factors that you guys have to minimize offensively to give yourselves, especially when you have shooting nights. You got Luke Kennard now. When you have shooting nights or the half court when it slows down for you guys and they get to free throw line, those are going to be the keys for y'all to kind of being successful against that group. But it's going to be a hell of a series, man.
Drowning out the noise too.
Yeah.
Media is probably just going.
Well, playing in LA is not easy. That's the biggest thing, Obviously,
that's what I'm saying.
Going from Memphis. Memphis is easy to be professional, stay home and low key. And you got guys in LA, keep them on pace. I said that's why I like X for you guys. I like Santi. Those guys are very hard nosed, straight on. We appreciate you, brother, man. Read, rate, subscribe, review for those who are tuning in and listening. Thank you guys very much. See you again. See you guys soon next week. Playoffs are here. So
see you guys. Peace.